One of the worst accidents you could ever experience is crashing a truck from rear and underride the trailer. Depending on speed, the driver's cabin could be completely crushed, and the car could turn into scrap within seconds. To survive in this kind of accident is nearly impossible. But why do these tragic accidents happen? Is it the high speed of the cars or the rear underride guards on trailers are not strong enough? Rear underride guards are simple, but most critical components that can save lives in such accidents. So how are these rear underride guards developed and tested? Are manufacturers giving them the importance they deserve? Or are they ignoring people's lives for profit? Let's first take a look at how rear underride guards have been developed throughout history. The history of these guards actually dates back quite a long time. The year is 1915, 19 years after Daimler produced the world's first truck. An American inventor, Hartford, patented side guards designed to prevent cars and people from sliding under trucks. Despite being an impressive safety feature for its time, it wasn't adopted by manufacturers. In 1935, another inventor, Robinson, patented a bumper system that fully surrounds the truck's trailer. This system also has an impact-absorbing feature. By the 1950s, trucks and trailers are becoming more common in transportation. Here we see a 1955 model Scania L51 and a 1950 model Volvo L245, no rear underride guards on them, none on MAN or Mercedes trucks either. The 1950s and 60s, except Volvo, any manufacturers cared much about safety or human life. Governments around the world were not different, failing to introduce regulations. In the 1960s, the number of trucks, trailers, and cars on the roads increased rapidly. Therefore, truck car accidents increased, and underride crashes became a typical type of accident. The early 1960s, companies like Scania were conducting safety tests for traffic, but we don't see any rear underride guards on its truck. There wasn't still awareness of this type of accident yet. By the mid-1960s, some manufacturers began using guards on certain models, but these guards weren't tested for durability. The year is 1967. That year, famous Hollywood actress Jane Mansfield tragically lost her life in a high-speed underride collision with her 1966 Buick Electra. The accident made headlines across the country. People began voicing their concerns about how trucks are unsafe for cars on the road. So, what did the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration do? They recommended manufacturers to use rear underride guards. Yes, you heard right. They only recommend. Without mandatory requirements, manufacturers were slow to use them. Profit was more important than people's life for them. The 1960s were a time when even seatbelts were optional in American cars, and Ford and General Motors were lobbying against airbags, claiming they weren't useful. So this lack of action from manufacturers didn't come as a surprise. By 1976, the head of the NHTSA warned U.S. senators, "The situation is dire. Thousands have died in underride accidents. There is no excuse for not taking action." However, the government still didn't do anything. In response, scientists and engineers founded the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, a non-profit organization dedicated to experimental safety studies. The same year, the IIHS conducted its first crash test. At a speed of 50 km/h, a car crashed into a weak trailer guard. The results were disastrous. The cabin was completely crushed under the trailer. It was clear that the existing underride guards were so weak and useless. The Institute then tested a stronger guard design of its own. The results were much better. The improved design prevented the car's cabin from sliding under the trailer. It's outrageous that such a safety innovation came from a non-profit organization rather than large manufacturers with thousands of engineers and billions in annual revenue. The IIHS's efforts raised awareness about how important underride guards. By 1979, the NHTSA began testing rear guards as well. A variety of designs were tested. In 1980, they tested with one of the most popular cars of the time, the Volkswagen Golf, at speed 50 km/h. However, despite these efforts, U.S. government still didn't take any action. The situation in Europe wasn't better than in the U.S. Finally, in 1996, the U.S. government mandated the use of rear guards. It took 100 years after the first truck was built, and tens of thousands of lives lost to reach this point. The legislation specified the dimensions, positioning, and strength requirements for rear guards. For example, guards could not be more than 10 centimeters inside the edges of the trailer, Their maximum height from the ground could be 56 centimeters, and they could only be 30 centimeters from the rear of the trailer. These standards were developed using crash tests at 48 km per hour with vehicles like the Chevrolet Corsica and Saturn. Authorities observe that the driver's cabin of the car was not damaged when they hit the rear guards at this speed. Let's move to the year 2010. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety believes that the legally mandated rear underride guard standards are insufficient. The team decides to test the rear underride guards of 8 major manufacturers. The test vehicle is a Chevrolet Malibu, and the speed is set at 56 km per hour or 35 miles per hour. The results show that the weakest underride guards belongs to Hyundai. The test is conducted under 3 different scenarios. In the first scenario, the car directly crashes into the rear underride guard at a speed of 56 km per hour. The bolts holding the guard break, and the car slides under the trailer. The passengers in the front seats have no chance of survival. In the second scenario, the car hits with 30% of the front area hitting the edge of the trailer. Again, the guard fails, and the edge of the trailer intrudes into the driver's cabin, a catastrophic scenario for the driver. It's hard to believe that a massive company like Hyundai could design such a poor guard. The crash speed is a reasonable 56 km per hour, yet the car ends up in such a devastating condition. The Institute redesigns Hyundai's underride guard to make it stronger. This time, the revised underride guard performs much better and prevents the car from sliding under the trailer. It's baffling that thousands of engineers at a global company couldn't make this improvement themselves, and that it had to be done by a volunteer organization. To clarify, modern cars are designed to absorb impact with their front sections. If the guards don't break or deform excessively during a crash, the car won't slide under the trailer. In 2013, the rear guards from these 8 manufacturers are tested again. All 8 successfully passed the direct rear collision test. In the scenario where 50% of the car's front area hits the trailer, 7 out of 8 manufacturers pass. However, in the scenario where only 30% of the car's front area hits the trailer, only 1 manufacturer passes. This shows that the most dangerous scenario is hitting the trailer's edge. Edge parts are the weakest parts of guards. Let's not forget, at speeds above 60 km per hour, even the strongest guards are irrelevant. This is why avoiding excessive speeds and maintaining a safe following distance are so important. The goal of this video was to raise awareness about this issue. See you in the next video.